What is up, everybody? This is Lyle, No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. I'm coming at you from the Loves in Clarksville, Arkansas. I-40 exit 57. Gonna be delivering tonight at 1840 at the Walmart. And I would say down the road, but if you listen to if you watch the Qualcomm or some GPS, it's gonna tell you to get off at exit 57, drive down that road where there's a no truck sign down there. You can still get there because I've done it, but go down to exit 55, make the left, drive down a while, make the right, and you'll be there. Anyway, a while back, a few weeks ago, administrator in one of the Facebook groups who's on the driver advisory board was, I'm assuming, asking this question for our training department as far as like what would make you train again. So I wanted to or what would make you train in general. I say again because I have trained, but that was it. I think they're trying to figure out how to get more trainers out there, and I want to talk about what would push me towards possibly thinking about training again. Before I get to that, yesterday I had a chance to stop at one of the nicest places you could stop at. It was a long day yesterday, split my clock, did all that, picked up a load out at Murfreesboro, Tennessee, headed out here, and anyway, I had a chance to stop at a Mexican restaurant in Holiday, Tennessee. So if you're ever about 60 miles west of Memphis, check it out. There's a Love's, a 19 network at that exit. It's I-40 exit 126. About a quarter mile, maybe a little bit more than a quarter mile on the left-hand side. All the parking you could ever need. I got there about 10 yesterday. My original thoughts were to go there at 10 o'clock, get a little bit of food, and then take it to the Loves right down the street. They didn't open until 11, and my clock was going to be burned by then. So I just said, let me just sit out here, order this food, and I'll just hang out here. So did that. I'm going to tell you, the tacos were excellent. I was there about an hour before they opened up. They were outside grilling the meat on the grill and everything. So you're talking about fresh grilled meat. These aren't any tacos that are like, they're just like real tacos. So I didn't know what to expect. Went in there, got some tacos. I got 2 beef, 1 chicken. And they're just basic. Homemade tortillas, flour is what I got. But they're homemade. And, when she brought it out, they just looked like meat on tortillas. I was like, all right, well, this isn't really what I'm talking about. But she's like, here, let me take you over to our salsa bar. If you know my barbecue and cooking channel, I'm all about homemade sauces, salsas, all that stuff. And they had everything out there. Like 2 different kind of salsas as far as like sauces, I guess you would say. They had a couple different salsas, pickled vegetables, like red onion. I'm telling you. Anyway, go out there and check that out. Don't stop at the Loves. I'll tell you, the next morning I woke up and went to the Loves because I wanted to get a coffee complimentary, and pulled in there. There were people parked all over the place, doing whatever kind of creative parking. And here I am, like right down the road. There's room for at least 150 trucks. But you guys are all stacked up in here just because you like these name brand truck stops. I don't get it. I really don't. Anyway, so check that place out. Now, to answer the question, what would make me train again? Thought about this a lot because I've been considering it. But 2 things that are kind of keeping me from training is the 50,000 miles. You know what? I think that's the main thing. 50,000 miles, and I sound like a hypocrite because I did, damn near 140,000 miles on my trainer's truck voluntarily. But that was a totally different situation. I didn't need the money. If I went home, I wasn't expected to get paid. Once I got to my magical number of 30,000 miles at the time, I wasn't like trying to rush off the truck. And all those things are things to take in consideration. And I'm bringing the ash back. I'm making ashy hands great again. Just got out of the shower, though. So anyway, 50,000 miles. And then, along with those 50,000 miles, I think is the whole, if the trainer's going to take time off, and then the trainee's going to take time off, who's going to pay him? It's just too much of a gray area right there. To me, that's just bad business. And I think that's a bad business model to push on people, especially if you're expecting 50,000 miles. Like, who's not going to want to go home in 50,000 miles? So those are the main hiccups. There's other things beyond that that aren't necessarily reasons why I wouldn't train. But if we're going to talk about some of the things that concern me is, you know, when I was going through training, they were like, hey, if you stay on your trainer's truck past 30,000 miles, you're going to get an extra, I think, $300 or whatever it was. So, yeah, so you're going to get an extra $300 because there was a shortage of trucks. So they didn't want to bring all these people in. The problem that I'm seeing with some of these mileage stipulations is, if they could guarantee me that once a student hits them miles, they're off the truck, or they can upgrade, that would be another thing that I would take as a positive. The problem is they're not bringing people in, and they're using availability of trucks as being a reason why. And trust me, I've been at the terminal and I don't see a lack of trucks out there. So for whatever reason, the problem with this is, especially at 50,000 miles, if you hit 50,000 miles, once you get to exactly 50,000 miles, you should be routed in, and there shouldn't be any more loads done after that, unless it's voluntarily. The problem is, and I've had all great students. Every single one of my students was a beast. I'm talking about 10.5-hour drive shift beasts, you know, all of them were beasts. So I had no issues with any of my students as far as driving goes. But one thing I can tell you with all my students, once they hit that magical mark, there was a lack of focus. And a lot of it was just natural shit. You've been out for I don't know how long, you want to get back home, you're ready to get your own truck, whatever the thing is, there's a lack of focus. And the longer you drag that out, the more jeopardy you put the trainer in. So that's one thing that it's not a reason why I wouldn't train, but I think that holding people hostage, you know, you're not just holding a student hostage, you're holding a trainer hostage. And I think that the theory that some people think or whatever is that the trainer's just going to pick up another student. Well, there's a difference between picking up another student that's 100% focused because they're brand new than driving with a student that knows everything, but there's a lack of focus because they're ready to roll on. So that's one of the main reasons. You know, another thing that's not a reason why I don't train is allowing people to kind of coordinate their own student-trainer relationship. For some reason, Prime thinks that it's best for them to match students and trainers. I don't know if it's an equity thing, like they feel like trainers are getting left out or whatever it is, but until Prime can come to me and say, Lyle, here's the statistics. Trainers and students that match theirself have a higher fallout rate than students and trainers that we match up, and I just cannot. Don't bring that lie to me. I can't see that. I mean, I'd have to see that on paper, because everybody back in the day, you were kind of, you know, did I do that? I had one that was kind of like that, but I just don't see how the fallout rate is more with people that match themselves. But that would be another reason I would do it, because like I said, I don't necessarily train for the money, but if I see somebody, like there was a student that lived in Colorado, he had a bad experience with his first trainer. I thought he had a perfect temperament for me, but I couldn't train him. Well, I didn't have the time. I didn't have the time. That's what it was. But they weren't going to let me do it anyway. So I tried to push him towards somebody else, and they wouldn't let him train him because they wanted to be the one to match him with somebody else. I honestly don't get that. So, and it's not like, it's not like the training department is batting 1,000 when it comes to matching students and trainers. As a matter of fact, if I was in business, and trust me, I'm not in the trucking business, and I've only been driving for 4 years, and one thing Prime associates will tell you is how long they've been at Prime. Boy, they will throw that shit out there forever about how long they've been there, but I just can't see I can't see the benefit of not. Sometimes I think it's just because sometimes people need to have a reason to justify a job. I don't get it, but if that would be available. So if somebody said, Lyle, you know what, I'm in training, I saw your shit, and we have a chance to talk, and I say, you know what, maybe, that would be a good person. I'd like to be able to pick that person. So that's not a reason I wouldn't train, but it's, a reason why I'm not as eager to train. Now, this isn't a reason why I wouldn't train, but this is what I've heard other people say. Is if a student tears up your truck, trailer, or does damage to anything else, Prime, this is what people are telling me, Prime should be responsible for that damage instead of the trainer. Now, I don't really think about that because I'm not always thinking about the worst case scenario, but I do know a couple trainers that have had students tear shit up, and you know what, fucking up a trailer or something like that, that's one thing. You eat the $500 deductible, you're making enough money anyway, and you roll on. The problem is I know a trainer whose student tore up their truck, right? So $1,000 deductible on the truck, then bam! Not only that, the truck, they were down for like 3-4 days, so no profit being made, payment still due, and then to add insult to injury, hotel room for the student while this is going on. So that's not a reason why I wouldn't train, but I've heard that as being a reason. I'm not expecting anybody to tear up some shit like that, but who knows? I mean, I've tore up some stuff, so it's not like it couldn't happen. Lost my train of thought. I think there was a couple other things I was thinking about. I think those are the main things. So I think the 50,000 is just, my philosophy, if I'm going to be a trainer, is to knock them out. Get them in and get them out. 50,000 miles. I mean, even if you're running, and we're not in necessarily a running environment right now, but let's say 5,000 miles a week. So that's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So 25,000 miles is 5 weeks. So you're looking at 10 weeks. You're almost, and trust me, it's not always going to be 5,000 miles a week. So you're talking about 10 weeks at best. So you're talking about 2.5 months at best. Now, somebody's going to want to take some time off. I may not do it if I was training, but a student might want to take some time off, whatever. So let's say 10 weeks. 10 weeks is that's a long time. I just talked to a couple people that had upgraded. They got into TNT in March. So April, May, June, July. We're talking about damn near 5 months. And I don't remember if they were counting the PSD in there or not. Let's take another month off of that. 4 months. That's a long time to remain focused, and it's a long time to be on somebody's truck unless it's the perfect situation. Like I said, me and my trainer had the perfect situation. that's a long time. So and I think, and this isn't me, or if I was training somebody, that gray area about who's paying trainers or who's paying trainees while they're off the truck, and that's just too vague. That right there is a crisis in management. That is not a gray area, because the problem is, if you have two sets of drivers, lease driver, company driver, they're two different ways to look at it. If you're a student on a company driver's truck and the company driver takes off, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think that there's any fall off in pay or anything like that. But the thing is this, there shouldn't even be this question. And I think that's a problem. That's not a reason why I wouldn't train, but that's the reason why people don't train. I think that, and don't get me wrong, I just spoke with somebody recently that was thinking about training, and my recommendation to them was to train. And I think it's everybody's, I would recommend that to anybody that had to get trained by somebody else, because somebody had to pay it forward for you to be a trainer. So if everybody took one student, there would be enough trainers. If it was just one. I mean, there's a lot of benefits to training. I look at my last student who just, sent me a picture of his brand new Mustang. I'm not about all that financial debt, but he did send me a picture of his brand new Mustang, and you get a little bit of sense of pride knowing that you helped put somebody in a better situation, especially somebody that maybe didn't come from a situation where there was a lot of financial means and things like that. So you do get that, you do have a sense of paying things forward. But I'm rambling on. Jesus Christ, I didn't know this was 17 minutes long. To wrap this up, 50,000 miles, they really have to reduce that. I almost was going to put myself on a list to train somebody that was like halfway done with their training or something like that. But I decided not to do that. But I think that's about it. I think I summarized it. I could probably think about some more stuff if I really had to, but I think I'm going to end with this. I think a lot of people get into, and I'm just talking about lease drivers, since Prime's fleet is majority lease drivers. I think a lot of people get into leasing with the best intentions, and they're looking at the best outcomes. They're not looking at the things that can go wrong. And it's not a reason I wouldn't train. It's a reason that I would caution somebody is, say you're going to train, all this kind of stuff, and maybe you don't have enough money set aside or things like that, and your truck goes down, which I've just had happen, on a couple of occasions. So if a truck goes down for a week, you're making truck payments. You might get breakdown pay, which is going to basically even out your truck payment, but you're definitely going to pay the student, and you're not really going to make any revenue for that time that the truck is down. And that's just if it's a truck going down. Oh, and don't forget hotel rooms, depending on where you're at. I mean, I don't necessarily look at that as a reason why I wouldn't do it, because I don't try to always look at the worst case scenario, but it's definitely something that can come up. So I think my main sticking point, 50,000 miles, is that you might as well just draw up a fucking prenuptial agreement with some shit that's lasting that long, because that's some commitment right there. Anyway, enough about that. Just wanted to drop in and say what up. I appreciate you stopping by No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. As always, comment, subscribe, and I'm out.